Good morning. Welcome to the memorial service for Seaman James Derek Lovelace. We're all here in recognition of the honorable service and life of Derek Lovelace. As Executive Officer, Naval Special Warfare Basic Training Command, I want to offer a special welcome to the family, distinguished visitors, and friends of this young man who have come from various places to be with us today. Today is about remembering a fallen sailor and teammate who honorably served his country. We welcome you. Parade the colors.
Right, face. Forward, march. Right, face. Present, arm.
Post the colors.
Shoulder, arm. Right. Forward, march.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you are a refuge in times of pain and strength in times of loss. You are our hope and our help in times of trouble. And having traveled to this shore this afternoon where your earth meets your ocean and your ocean meets your sky, we ask for your continued presence as we remember the life and times of James Derek Lovelace, a son, a brother, a friend, a teammate who passed from this earthly shore far too early into your midst. Today, as well as in the days to come, we ask for your comfort and resolve in our time of mourning and sorrow over the loss of our brother Derek. And as we do, we are reminded of your assurance of eternal life. And we place our whole trust in your goodness and in your mercy through Jesus Christ our Lord, who taught us to pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we've forgiven those who trespassed against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. We're gathered here today as family, as friends, as teammates to lift up our teammate unto God from which he came, and to mourn the loss of our brother James Derek Lovelace, who was taken far too early from these earthly shores to God's eternal shoreline in heaven. And by your presence here today, you join me as we pay tribute to his memory and to his life and times on this earth. And today we remember not in how he died, but rather in how he lived. On this occasion, we pay tribute to the memory of a friend, a brother, a teammate, a son. And those of us who have gathered do so as those who were closest to Derek, both his family and friends from near and far, and his Navy family also. And not only those of us who are here physically today, but also those who could not be with us today in person, but are with us in spirit. Today we draw upon not only God's unending word, but upon one another's strength in dealing with our loss. And we find that strength in the eyes of one another. This morning, as we honor his memory, in particular, we keep his family, his father James, his sister Casey, and sister Lindsay in our closest thoughts and prayers. Today we begin with the words found in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 4 through 6, where it is written, "For I'm ready to be offered. The time of my departure is at hand. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course, and I have kept the faith." Upon hearing the news that would change our lives forever this week, we try to speak, and words fail us. And we try to understand, and logic fails us. And we try to comprehend, and reason fails us too. And when we come to the end of our own human limitations, we simply put our faith and trust in God's unending love, in his unfailing promise that our loved ones are in his eternal care and peace, which I know Derek is. There are many unknowns in this life, but one thing that we do know for certain is that life in this world, particularly the lives that we've chosen for ourselves, is one of uncertainty and risk. And none of us know what tomorrow holds for any of us, nor do we know how many days each of us have on this shore, but we do know that life at any age is short, and death awaits us all one day. And then when that day comes, that our spirit will return to God from which it came. But regardless of when that day comes, all of the theology in the world doesn't remove the pain that death brings. And words such as these are not only difficult, but they fall way short in conveying what is felt by each of us who mourn today. Times such as these, in the midst of pain, immeasurable loss, unrecoverable loss, words are an inadequate vehicle to express the depth of grief over the loss of our brother Derek. There are no words that I could offer here today that would or could possibly encapsulate the life and times of Derek Lovelace. And any attempt on my behalf to do so would be a feeble one at best. What words could I offer today that could capture the essence of our brother? I cannot. But instead, I let his memory, which can speak far louder than any words offered by myself today, speak to you who were his family, his loved ones, and his teammates. Yet there's no denying that loss, no matter when or what the circumstances, is a grievous thing. Especially when it comes to those that we love the most and we have built our lives around and we call upon as friend. But even more so when it is one of our very own. This particular day is difficult because we've lost our brother Derek not to old age after a long and full life, or to a long and lengthy illness, but to a tragedy suffered in training to serve his country alongside of his brother warriors, his teammates, each of you. And this occurred just after a long full day of work and preparing for a purpose that was certainly more than a job to Derek. It was a passion. It was a driving passion. It's a calling. It was something that he loved to do and wanted to do since he was very young. And finally, he was doing it. And he was living it, and he was preparing to realize that dream. And that's exactly where Derek wanted to be, doing that which he loved the most, with those he loved the most. And that was becoming a Navy SEAL and everything which that implies. And that is a very good thing, as he was preparing to serve his country in that capacity alongside of his teammates. There are many stories that could and should be told about Derek, and some of which we'll hear today from his teammates who knew him well, and from his father James, who knew him best. However, I think we'd all agree that Derek was a true American original. I'm told from family and friends that Derek was one who squeezed the maximum yield out of life and all that it had to offer. He faced every day on his own terms, in his own manner, You never ran from trouble, and you only seek to help others in need. I've heard it said that every man dies, but not every man truly lives. We're here today to say Derek lived, and lived big. Derek was many things to many people. He was a protector of his sisters, protector of his family, of his friends, teammates. He was an extraordinary baseball player. Recruited to play up at the Division I level and maybe even beyond that. He was a man also of few words. Whatever he said, he meant. He was a man who was his brother's keeper and a conqueror in this world and in the next. We know that Derek faced life with great courage and always tried to make the best of whatever hand he was dealt all the way to his last days on this earth. We know how he died, but more importantly, we know how he lived. And we embrace it today. The Word of God tells us that there's a purpose and a season for everything under the sun. And that particular passage is difficult, not impossible, to understand at times such as these. You ask yourself, and I ask myself, what is the reason for this timing? The answer is we'll never know. Only God himself knows why at this time, and why in this season of life. But I do know that Derek loved, and he was loved by many. He loved his family, he loved his father, he loved his sisters, he loved the Navy, he loved the teams, he loved Class 319. And although he's no longer with us physically, our lives, everybody's life in this chapel lives, will always be better for having known him. And his name will not be forgotten. Rather, we will carry it with us forevermore. Nonetheless, his absence will always be felt, and his presence will always be missed, and certainly by his family, but also by each one of us. But we can take hope today that Derek was a man after God's own heart, and that he lived as God wants each of us to live, without fear, with great hope, with great love, with great passion. And although hurting, we can take comfort today in the words found in the Scriptures, which tells us to be absent from the body is to be present with Christ. And that is what we hold on to today in the midst of our sorrow and pain, is God's eternal promise. There is no denying that there is sorrow. But ultimately, we will see those who have gone before us once again on God's shoreline in heaven. I share with you at this time the Sailors' 23rd song. It is written, "The Lord is my pilot, I shall not go adrift. He lighteth my passage across dark channels. He steereth me through the deep waters, he keepeth my law. He guideth me by the evening star for my safety's sake. Yea, though I sail mid the thunders and tempests of life, I shall fear no peril, for thou art with me. Thy stars in heavens, they comfort me. The vastness of thy sea upholds me. And surely fair winds and safe harbors shall be found all the days of my life. And I shall moor fast and secure forevermore." Derek spent his life in taking care of his family and friends and teammates, and now all of us come together and ask that God take care of him. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with heavy hearts, with great sorrow, as we remember our beloved son, brother, friend, and teammate. Lord, you already know our hearts and the grief within them, as well as our minds and the intense sorrow and confusion we feel. And we admit that often we do not understand the reason for such tragedies, but we do know that you promise to never leave us or forsake us in the midst of those troubles. And so today we ask for your strength, your mercy, and peace, which passes all understanding, to be with us today and forevermore. In Jesus' name we pray.
Please allow me to introduce the commanding officer, Naval Special Warfare Basic Training Command, Captain Mark. Jim, Casey, thank you for making the long trip to be here with our community leadership, our instructors, and Derek's teammates. We're taking leave from training, and this is to recognize Daler, Sarah, who
sailor who in time of war is willing to raise his hand and volunteer to serve. And not only serve, but to serve in a profession where he's fully expected to go into harm's way. Likely inspired by heroes before us, the Mikey Monsoors, the Ed Byers, the Chuck Keatings. But I suspect inspired by more than that. The roots of inspiration are deeper than that. I see them coming from your family, from a father who served 23 years active duty. Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Iraqi Freedom. More than 4 years in the sandbox. All that time raising a loving family, enduring the hardships of moves around the world and deployments. And what grew from that was Derek, the epitome of an older brother. A tough guy, a guy who knew grit. A young man who was willing to do the hard work. A man of character. I also would be willing to bet that when he showed up at Great Lakes, he felt at home around like-minded young men who were willing to get into the arena, to challenge themselves, to join a profession that was bigger than any one individual could be. And as we honor Derek for what he did, what I know for sure is that Derek inspired others. He was a coach. He was a mentor. He was a great role model to others. He was a guy you wanted in your boat crew. He was that guy. Jim and Casey, on behalf of Master Chief Dittmar and myself, our instructors, our medics, all our technicians, we grieve with you in a profoundly personal way. We honor and remember Derek. And Naval Special Worker will pull you into our family. We are and will be here for you. And we're grateful for the service Derek did to this foundation.
We'll now hear from Derek's classmates, beginning with Senior Claseri.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vinny Claseri. I'd like to start off by offering my condolences to the Lovelace family. Jim and Casey, I'm very sorry for the loss. In my short time here on Earth, I've seen a few people talk about a loved one that's passed. Not that they weren't good people, but I noticed that sometimes a man's character is made out to be more than it actually was after. Love was different. Every word that you hear from myself and the other speakers today is the cut and dry truth about the man that he was. I met Lovelace in Navy boot camp back in November 2015. I remember the first conversation we had was about college baseball. We both played, and we talked for a little while about how much we missed the game. Over the next few months, Lovelace became my best friend in the class. We would go out on the weekends to Chicago and back to my house in Cary for some heated ping pong battles. Dull moments were very rare when I was with him. His competitive nature, positive attitude were infectious to everyone around him. I've had a little experience with death in my life. My grandfather lived with my family until he passed away when I was 16. I had a friend die in college. Losing people you love always brings that deep, abiding pain. Losing people you love always brings that deep, abiding pain that dulls over time. I don't think it ever goes away, but as the pain dulls, you learn lessons about how your loved ones lived their lives. I remember one night I was out with Houston, Peg, and Lovelace at a local sporting goods store in San Diego. We were looking for some gear to get ready for buds. Lovelace and I were looking at some dry bags when the sales clerk came up to us, started pitching a lifetime membership opportunity to the store. He had a certain arrogant way about him, and I was really annoyed with him right off the bat. After he was done, I politely told him we weren't interested. The clerk was a little angry, taken back by that, and he stood there with his arms crossed, and he looked at us and he said, pity. Right as I turned to say something sarcastic to him, Love looked up and said, "Thank you for your time, sir." Completely genuine, Southern gentleman like he was. Sales clerk was caught off guard, paused for a moment, and walked off. That's the type of guy he was. Kind to everyone, even when they didn't deserve kindness. I remember Wednesday morning of week 1, first phase, 10 guys rented out for the first evolution of the day. Our class was standing there in the dark, listening to that bell ringing. I wasn't feeling very motivated that morning. It had been a long 2 days, and the idea of starting another one was daunting. As I was standing there with my boat crew, Lovelace walked up to me, put a hand on my shoulder, and said, "I know it sucks, man. Promise we'll keep each other going today." I promised, and it was all I needed. Friendly gesture from a guy that I knew had my back. He knew I had his. It's the little things that make a difference. I remember one afternoon in prep, we had our exit tread test. It was a 5.5 minute tread with a brick in the water. Love fought through the whole thing, kept that brick up. Guys who were better at treading than him dropped theirs. Got a little special attention from the coaches and instructors. But he completed it. When Love got out of the pool, he went over to the garbage, threw up 3 times. That's the type of guy he was. He wouldn't quit. He was always going. He was a fighter. Always motivated and always ready to take on the next task. I didn't see what happened on the pool last Friday, but I know that he fought until there wasn't a breath left in his body. It'll be a while before the pain dulls, but the best way to honor him is to live the rest of our lives just like he lived at the beginning of his. Be kind to people even when they don't deserve it. Put a hand on someone's shoulder, let them know you're there for them and they need it most. And fight for every breath God gives. I love you, Lovelace. I really miss you.
The next speaker is Stephen Pick.
Last week, this community lost someone who's very special. A teammate, a brother, and a friend. Rarely in life do you meet someone so hardworking, selfless, loving, intelligent, funny, charismatic, and someone so loved by his friends and family. I remember the first time I met Lovelace in boot camp. He was always friendly and respectful. He had a way of drawing people close to him in a short amount of time. If you just met him and talked to him for 5 minutes, you would think you'd have known him for a long time. But that was love for you. His infectious personality pulled people close, and he was loved and cherished among his teammates. When something difficult needed to be done, he was the first to do it. He never complained, he never whined. He poured himself into his goals, and he expected others to do the same. Whenever the going got tough, Love always got our spirits up. I remember when we formed up in the pit, We were about to march off to begin day one of first phase on the grinder. I looked over at Love and said, "Here we go." The nervous laugh. He clasped me on the shoulder and told me, "You've got this. Don't worry, man." He was always there for you, no matter what. He was the ultimate swim buddy. He was the guy you sought out to be on your team. The greatest attribute of Lovelace was not his athletic skill, it was his attitude. Love was all go and no quit. In all the time I've known him, I cannot recall a single instance when he did not give his absolute best. That's who he was. Multiple times throughout our friendship, he told me he would die before he quit. And I knew by the grin on his face and the look in his eye that he was telling the truth. The following is a poem that was a favorite of Love's. We would often read it to get fired up about upcoming weeks in training. It's called The Quitter by Robert Williams Service. When you're lost in the wild and you're scared as a child and death looks you bang in the eye, and you're sore as a boil, it's according to Hoyle to cock your revolver and die. But the code of man says, fight all you can, and self-disillusion is barred. In hunger and woe, oh, it's easy to blow. It's the hell served for breakfast that's hard. You're sick of the game. Well, now that's a shame. You're young and you're brave and you're bright. You've had a raw deal, I know, but don't squeal. Buck up, do your damnness and fight. It's the plugging away that will win you the day, so don't be a pipe girl hard. Just draw on your grit. It's so easy to quit. It's the keeping your chin up that's hard. It's easy to cry that you're beaten and die. It's easy to crawl and to crawl. But to fight and to fight when hope's out of sight, why that's the best game of them all. And though you come out of each grueling bout, all broken and beaten and scarred, just have one more try. It's dead easy to die. It's the keeping on living that's hard.
Our last speaker is Seaman Houston.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Taylor Houston. I was a friend of Derek's from back home. I left a couple months before him. I'd first like to start off, Mr. Jim, Casey, give my deepest condolences to you on your loss of such a great son and brother. I first met Derek on the pool deck at NAS Pensacola, mid-2014. When I first saw him, he had on a Pirates hat, a cool guy patch backpack, and size XL rocket pins. Way too big for him, but he sure used it. I would also later find out that under that hat, he had the craziest hairstyle I'd ever seen. Shaved on the sides and really long on top. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. So when we saw him, a mutual friend of ours, Bobby Austin, and I, we decided to find out who this guy was and what contract he was going for. Naturally, as boys do, we decided to give him a little bit of harassment for his ridiculously, unnecessarily large fins and his cool dude gear. We kind of tried picking on him a bit, seeing how thick his skin was, what kind of dude he was. And just as was his nature, he brushed it off as if he'd known us forever. Through that day, he then proceeded to crush absolutely everyone there at the PST. He maxed out top scorer for all calisthenics, and he had the best run and swim time of anyone there. But the best part about that was that Lovelace didn't come and rub it in your face or gloat or act like he was the best dude in the room. He was actually the most humble person you could have ever met. Saying to us he really hoped that he'd done well enough to be allowed to try for a contract the following week. It actually blew my mind because at the time I was contracted and so were some of the other guys for this program, and he absolutely destroyed us, and it put me in awe that he was just hoping for another shot to be invited to come back and try again to do even better than he did the first time. That was one of the many lessons in humility that I learned from Derek Lovelace. We would go on in the following weeks competing at PSTs for the greatest scores that we could, always trying to beat one another in every aspect of the test. Being the taller, lankier guy that I am, eventually I ended up beating him on the run and somehow in the push-ups and sit-ups as well. But there was no beating him on the bar for pull-ups. He could do them all day. As the weeks passed, he would get closer and closer to my times and my scores. Closing width by every day. Eventually I'd be struggling just to barely keep enough distance to stay ahead of him. And sure enough, a few months before I left for boot camp, we had a PST where he showed up and put me to shame. He annihilated every single event of the test and left me in the dust. And once again, even after months of hard work to defeat me, all I could say was, "Man, I've been ready to beat you, dude." No sarcastic insults, no poking fun at me. Just a guy who worked 4 times harder than his opponent to beat him. No boasting of victory or even a little celebration. It's just another day to him. This was just yet another lesson in humility and one of many in dedication that I learned from love. I remember one time he called me from a party in Tallahassee. And long story short, he had stood up to some really large guys harassing a girl that he knew. From what I heard, people at the party, these guys were 6 foot gigantic and just massive dudes. And, Lovelace wasn't the tallest tree in the forest, but he had the tenacity of a rabid dog. And he ended up walking out with a few staples in his head and a messed up hand, but he came out. And that was one of the lessons of loyalty that I got from love. Fast forward just 1 week after this incident, Love had his hand in some sort of cast and a staple in his head. He showed up at a PT function that our Spector Scout had held every week. He wasn't allowed to swim because of the staples, but that wasn't going to stop Derek Lovelace from getting a good workout in. Our scout came up and told him to take it easy that day and just do what he could, maybe run a little, do some core exercises, maybe some lower body. But that didn't sit right with him. So when the scout turned his back and walked away, Derek then proceeded to rip his cast off of his hand, jump up on the pull-up bar, and start doing muscle-ups. And of course, to give me a little taunt, he said, "Why don't you get up here and do something?" Broken hand. And if that wasn't enough, we were finally done at the track and doing our pull-ups and whatnot. We were starting to get ready for a pretty long run. He comes up to me and says, "Yo, Houston, let's do this in gas masks," and shoved one into my hands. I'm not sure how many of you have ever visited Pensacola, Florida in the middle of summer, but it gets to the low to mid-90s with 100% humidity every day. And as was usual with working out with Lovelace, I was dying to keep up. This was another lesson in dedication that I got from love, but at this point it was nothing new for me, having known him for a few months. But Lovelace wasn't always just super serious, gung-ho, 24/7 about working out here. He knew how to party and have a really great time. The first time I rode in the car with him a few weeks after meeting him, he played Hypnotized by Biggie Smalls, and I was surprised to find out that he knew every word. He helped shave a bald spot in the middle of my head soon before I left for boot camp, and then made me go out in public like that. He always had these funny phrases that he would come up with that I'd never heard before, like, "Yo, dude, my legs are torched from CrossFit yesterday." He was a CrossFitter, and he didn't have any issue letting me know that, but he also didn't mind any crap that he caught for it either. He was also the first person I ever heard to use the word clutch in a sentence not relating to a car. It would normally go something like, "Hey man, you want to go fishing with Billingsley and us this weekend? Probably have a couple beers or something." And he would reply, "Yo dude, that would be so clutch, let's do it." It was hilarious to most of us because most of our friends had never heard anybody come up with anything like that, but it was just too cool for us. If you ever wanted a tough workout, Lovelace. If you ever needed to have someone go with you on a sketchy Craigslist purchase, Lovelace. And if you ever wanted somebody to bring the party, you would go to Lovelace. You could bring the ladies with him too, because they loved him, and why wouldn't they? He was just an amazing dude. But fortunately, none of those ladies stole his heart like Rachel did. Countless times, we would hear about how amazing and perfect she was. Even if they weren't talking or were having a fight at the time, he would stop mid-sentence, grieving or, complaining about it. He would remind himself just how great she really was. He would tell you absolutely everything there was to know about this girl because she was always on his mind. And if you were lucky enough to meet her, you were considered one of his pretty good buddies. She was something special to him. And I saw the way that he felt about her and the way that he felt about all his loved ones. The man had a heart of compassion, much larger than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. About a month after I was in boot camp, I received a letter from a mutual friend of ours notifying me that his mother had passed away, and that they had attended the funeral, and Lovelace seemed to be having a rough time. I told my RDC that I needed to make an emergency phone call as soon as possible to my brother back home. And within the next 24 hours, I got a hold of him. When he picked up the phone, and I told him it was me, it seemed like he lit up. I didn't get 2 words in before he started asking me how training was going, how boot camp sucked, and then he told me to not quit and keep pushing forward. When I finally got through with all of his questions and his well wishes, I finally asked him if my brother was okay, if he needed anything, or anything I could do. And to my surprise, he confidently told me that he was just fine. That he was actually more driven now than ever before to succeed in the path that he was going down. That somehow now it was almost going to be easier for him because his mother was with him everywhere he went and with him in everything he did. After this huge loss to him and his family, and seeing only the concern for only those around him and his brothers, this is when I realized how truly selfless and dedicated that love was to his dream. He ended the conversation by once again telling me not to quit and to not worry about it, that he would be just fine. Finalizing every conversation that we ever had, with "Be safe, I love you, brother." Excuse me. When he got to prep and into buds, it was no different. Weekly, if not nightly, phone calls and texts giving me updates about where he was in training and how he'd been doing, and asking me about where I was. Even after hearing the horror stories of log PT, he would tell me, "Yeah, man, I'm not too worried. I'm staying motivated and healthy." And then later that night, shoot me a text and saying, "Yo, Mom's is savage, bro." But that was him. He always kept in good spirit. No matter how bad it was, you could never bring his spirits down. One thing about Lovelace was that he made sure that if you were close to him, that you knew he was never going to quit at anything he did. He told us countless times before I left for boot camp, he told us countless times during training, that he would never quit. He would rather die before you rang that bell. A short text conversation that we had shortly after he got here went like this. He texted me and said, "I ran an 8:40 today on the O course, dude." I told him, "Dude, you're already beating me. I've never run it that fast. Not even close." To which I wasn't surprised at this reply, "Haha, I'm gonna get it lower." I said, "Hell yeah, dude, put in that work, and you'll be here soon." I said, "For sure, pal." I told him, "Hey man, I'm gonna be gone when you go to Hell Week." He asked me where I was gonna be. I said, "Alaska." I said, "Nice." So I told him, "Don't quit while I'm gone, man." He replied to me, "They're gonna have to carry me out on a stretcher, bro, because I won't quit." I said, "I want to see you in a brown shirt when I get back, brother." He said, "For sure, man. You're doing this. I'm right behind you, and I won't let you down." And he didn't. He never let me down. I think that short exchange of words could probably tell you better than I can what kind of man Derek Lovelace was, because that's how he would want to be remembered. A man of his word. A man who put it all out there and never quit at anything he ever did. That's who he was. He went 100 miles per hour and gave 110% at anything he ever set out to do. He would never quit. He didn't have to tell you that because he just wasn't in it to. He never could. So if I had to guess what he'd say to all of us sitting here, for one, he'd ask if we torched our bodies yet and if we were ready for a run. But he would tell his family, "Don't stop. Don't quit. Don't give up and become too engulfed with the pain of losing him." He'd tell you to be more driven now than you ever were before because he's with you in everything you do and with you everywhere you go, just as he felt his mother was. So continue on, always pushing each and every day, trying to find comfort in the fact that he did what he loved and he left us following his word that he would never quit. To his friends and classmates, I imagine he would say this: "Get after it, and stop feeling sorry because he's gone. Because of him, he's still with all of you." He would absolutely tell you all to never quit and to keep attacking every day as a warrior preparing for battle. He would tell you all to grieve and grieve shortly to get past it because, quote, "We've got work to do, so let's get it done." Everyone here has lost someone special to them. A son, brother, boyfriend, friend, classmate. Someone who truly shined bright in a world full of darkness these days. If I could end up being half the man that Derek Lovelace was, I would have felt I've accomplished in becoming a good man. So to class 319, keep pushing. Don't quit. Don't give up. Never surrender. Keep his fighting spirit and his tenacity alive in each and every one of you. Because now it's our job to carry on his legacy and his spirit with us, one day to hopefully earn the trident, not only for us, but for him. A man who's more dedicated to this than anyone I ever met. We're working for his trident now. Be there for his family. Show them all how special he was to each and every one of you. Mr. Lovelace, Casey, you and your family again, have my deepest condolences on your loss of such a beautiful son and brother. Please know that you guys always have me, and I'm always here to help in any way I can, whenever you need me at any time. To my brother Derek, the man who never quit and can never give anything less than 110%. My world, as well as many in this room, was changed by your shining example of how to be a great person. It was more than an honor to be able to call you my best friend, and even more so an honor to have you in my life for the time that I was allowed. You were the embodiment of a good dude who cared about people, but knew when it was time to suit up and be a warrior. It's said in the Viking culture that warriors go to a paradise or the Great Hall to feast and party for the rest of eternity when they pass. So keep me a seat next to you at the head of the table, because I'll see you there. I love and miss you, brother. Till Valhalla.
According to naval history, during a sailor's career, he would collect reminders of his travels while at sea. Space was at a premium on the ship, so these items tended to be small. When the sailor was piped ashore for the last time, his teammates would handcraft a ceremonial box made of the finest materials. The box would hold all the possessions that would serve as a reminder of achievements and accomplishments, but also a summation of his career. The shadow box should enable a stranger to glance at its contents to gain a substantial understanding of the owner's past service and achievements. Derek's shadow box has in its contents a American flag representing his service, awards he earned during his time in service, and a written summation of his career. Mr. Lovelace, on behalf of Naval Special Warfare Basic Training Command, we present this shadow box. Derek was as much of a source of encouragement and strength to his teammates as you were to him. We are forever in your debt. Please let this display be a reminder of his dedication and courage in serving this country. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the benediction.
Before we offer the benediction of the service, I would invite Mr. James Lovelace up front to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, fine gentlemen, for inviting me on special. I appreciate it. I'd like to also thank you for all the hospitality you've offered us this hard time. Still Class 319, SWIC Class 91, members of the Navy SEAL community. I stand before you today with great sadness and shattered heart and a broken father. My son never did anything less than 110% and didn't know the meaning of the word quit. Derek wanted to be a frogman more than anything in this world. As he told you, he also told me, I will never quit. I will die before I quit. I actually never thought that would happen. As a father, I will never be worried about him coming home safely from a dangerous place. To echo Houston, I challenge you, Class 319 and Class 91, to band together, push one another forward as Derek would have pushed you. Step forward and be the young leader that Derek would have been for you. Carry Derek's will and spirit throughout your naval careers, throughout your lives. I ask that you do this for yourselves. I ask that you do this for my family, so that my great son did not die in vain. And I ask that you do this for our nation, who needs you out there defending our freedoms. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you, sir. As we close today, we close with one final prayer. Let us pray. Almighty God, who is our strength in times of trouble, and for our comfort in times of pain, Today, those of us who mourn this enormous loss know that you have not left us without hope or without comfort. Today, we collectively ask that you be with us, and especially with the Lovelace family at this difficult time. And in so doing, help us to remember who called him friend, the memories that he gave us for the rest of our lives. We commit to him in your arms and take comfort in knowing that he is in your eternal shoreline and in your eternal care in the midst of peace forevermore. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Today we say goodbye, Derek, but only for a while.
Please remain standing for the departure of the Lovelace family. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our service. Thank you again to the Lovelace family for allowing us to share in the memory of Derek's incredible spirit. Students and friends may join the family to share their condolences in person.
Things.